Confluence listeners. This is the show where we unravel the systems shaping our inner and outer worlds. I'm your host, Sana, and today's episode dives deep into a conversation that's both timely and timeless. I'm joined by Aaron Books, creator of the Manhattan Profit podcast, for an unfiltered discussion on how modern systems like media, government, and corporate power manipulate our perception of reality. From censorship to consumer culture, from environmental control to the illusion of choice, Aaron breaks down how narratives are engineered to keep us distracted, divided, and disempowered. And isn't just about conspiracy, listeners, it's about consciousness. It's about reclaiming your power in a world designed to profit from your sleep. So, if you have ever questioned the stories you have been told, or you have felt the quiet pull to awaken beyond this noise, this conversation is for you. And stay with us as we explore what it really means to wake up. Let's get started. And what's this? I was just looking at your website. What exactly is this story behind naming your podcast the Manhattan Prophet? I've heard about the Manhattan Project. Is it some kind of inspiration, with respect to name taken from that, or is it something else?
It's that's very insightful of you. It is kind of a play on that because there's an association obviously with the Manhattan Project, and it kind of flowed the same way. And then I wanted to, I guess, maybe garner attention, and I figured that name would resonate, or at least people would say, what is this guy? Who's this guy? I don't profess to be speaking with some higher entity through a burning bush or anything. I just think that it's, a lot of what a lot although at the same time, a lot of what, sages or prophets have spoken about is really just,
Mm.
truth, right? It's just about um
And we were kind of
giving knowledge. Yeah.
yeah, we were kind of seeing it uh, globally happening, politically happening as
But
well.
right now,
I think we are kind of moving towards a culture where each and every word has to be uh, said very carefully. It's like that George Orwell novel 1984, The Big Brother.
yes. Yes.
I am so yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, no, unfortunately that's true. And I think that, what we're seeing in Great Britain, especially with some of these freedom of speech, I consider them overt violations, is actually remarkable that it's just being kind of um, brushed aside. And I think that this is emblematic of the larger story, right? Where you have cultures and you have a society, at least in the West, that is so focused head down day to day on material goods, acquiring wealth, moving up in financial status, the ability, the financial freedom to purchase things. People are so focused on sort of this consciousness that they let things kind of slip through. I mean, there was the Patriot Act following the 9/11 attacks, which was basically an admonishment of uh, personal freedom, right? Where you had a government who was able to come in and tap your phones because of these terrorists or whatever they were claiming, and people just
Mm.
did. Yeah, it is what it is. It's just is laissez-faire kind of mentality. Nobody cares about the macro picture and what's going on because they're so distracted by money and this kind of like mental servitude in a way. It's quite remarkable.
It is. It is. And when we talk about in the corporate context, look at the movies we are having. I have been so much religiously following the chatter around, Snow White. I was just having this conversation with one of the guests, where we were talking about that. All these corporates and companies, they keep on throwing products at you. You consume it, and that's it. You move on to another product. You just keep on consuming it, and
That's right.
it's
No, and yeah.
Mhm.
And look, and I no, yeah, and I think that it's look, that transcends not just, movies. That's really with everything. It's from food to media to just really everything. It's there's a new car model that comes out of 15 car companies every single year, and you have to buy it because if you don't, you're not going to have the newest. I mean, it's such a it's so embedded in our mentality, and we accept it, right? And it's really, my podcast and my effort is about
Mhm.
questioning inherited truths and questioning blind acceptance and trying to offer people information on the root origin of belief systems and the root origin of policy and how systems work and how people are impacted by those systems. But you're absolutely right. There's this mentality of consumption, and everybody's distracted all the time. There's no time to concentrate on the internal. There's no time to pay attention to yourself. You're always satisfying kind of appetitive desires. And some could say that it's conspiratory and it's structured that way. And in many ways, I think that it is. But I think really the conspiracy is that, you know, companies are trying to monetize as much as they can, right? So
Uh,
if they keep pushing product, they make more money. And that's really the game in at least the West, and that's in many ways a real way to trap and chain people mentally without them even knowing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely believe in this. I mean, I recently watched. I mean, if you don't have any time constraint, and definitely the podcast is for half an hour, but I don't know, this topic kind of so much resonates with me. And when I was just going through your website, I thought, okay, I mean, this is something which I personally agree with. There was an episode on in the I think it is season 7 of Black Mirror. That's the first episode, and there, I mean, it is such a traumatic episode. I would suggest if you can watch it.
What was
If
the
you
episode?
so it's the first episode of the latest season of Black Mirror, where it's about a couple. And the wife is like teacher, and the husband is just a normal person working in construction. And the wife is sick. She's a school teacher. She gets sick, and then all that healthcare stuff starts. I think she has brain cancer or something. So the hospital suggests that you don't have any option. However, there's some kind of AI neurotech, some blah blah company which has kind of what they will do is they'll map out your conscious, they'll map out all your thoughts and put it into cloud, and then there's a specific distance within which you have to be present so that you are awakened and you are alive. Because if you move out of that particular zone in which they have their data centers and towers and everything to catch the signal, then you'll be again, kind of brain dead. Um so that episode kind of really, it shocked me. I mean, they were like providing subscription. Okay, this is the basic model. Okay, then this is
Ah,
the
I see. Okay, yeah.
and this is a super premium model.
Right.
Then, they are kind of running ads through the wife itself, through her itself. She's like talking ads whenever she's seeing any kind of situation. Let's say she's seeing a child in distress. The child is having his parents divorced. Then she's like suggesting that child that visit blah blah blah. A couple therapy session and something like that. I don't remember. I just watched it like 3 weeks back, but it's still like embedded within me, and how manipulative it can be, and how products and services can be thrown at us in name of premium, super premium, blah blah blah, and this that.
It's crazy. I mean, especially to ascribe consciousness that way, it's nuts. And to that point, one of the craziest things that I would say is going on from a consumer perspective is how kind of people's choices are manufactured, right?
Mm.
We have kind of the illusion of choice in many ways and the illusion of freedom where but a lot of choices and a lot of or perceived choices are shaped by, algorithms that are marketing to you, and you think that, you are coming to the decision yourself, but in fact, you're being manipulated or you're being pushed a product or coerced to think a certain way and then act a certain way, right? So there are so many ways that psychologically people can be manipulated, and it's not even again, it's not in my mind, it's not really about creating this like matrix like prison mind mentality. It's really just about people realizing how companies, advertising and marketing, how their systems work. I mean, all of these companies, all of these politicians, all of these social media platforms, they are aware that your attention is currency. If they can
Mhm.
get you focused on something, that's really what it's all about, and that's really why having an evolved consciousness is so important because it puts people in a better place of understanding not only the world around them, but themselves, right? If they're
Mm.
walking around blind, asleep, they're completely unaware of what's going on. They're unaware of how they're being affected. They're unaware of and it's funny because it's almost like um it's almost like mass psychosis in a way where
Yeah.
and it's normalized, right? Where people, I talk about people giving up whatever it is, 50% of their waking hours. They're working all day long to accumulate money. And
Mhm.
therefore money is what's paramount. That's what's most important to them. Or that's what's most important to people. And they don't even, people don't realize it. It's just accepted. It's the way of life. It's the way that society has been shaped. But what's important is making people on even such a basic level understand that that's not necessarily, divinely true or the divine purpose of your life, which is to me remarkable because most people just don't see that.
Exactly. Exactly. The interpretations are very much
And
different.
it's negative. It is affecting you internally.
And I keep on telling this to my father, just don't watch, stop watching that, shit. Pardon my language, but it is shit. It's garbage. Stop
Yeah.
watching. Try to understand that. You know, we talk.
What does he say? Does he do it or no?
No, he doesn't.
Because
He's just.
it's habitual. It's habitual. That's why.
I mean, it's now. It's. I think I have given up. I have given up.
Yeah.
Given up. But
No, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Aaron, go ahead.
No, no, it's funny you say that because I was saying a lot of things about or I've been saying a lot of things that have kind of come into the light and that people are now finally resonating with, maybe 2 or 3 years ago to my family. And I was telling, my mother, I said, "You have to stop watching CNN and Fox and, they're all pushing a narrative." And I would say, "Look, we have to look into there's all these things, you should stop eating GMO products. You should not do this. There are issues with artificial flavors and we have high fructose corn syrup and, around the world they don't use that. They're not allowed to and all these different things." And, she would kind of write me off like I was living in a different reality. And, you know, eh, people she's actually just starting to come around and she's actually finally and I said the same thing to her. You have to stop basing your facts on CNN, but it's hard because when you turn on that screen and they're wearing those suits and they look professional and everybody's smiling and happy, how could they be giving you information that's wrong? And they've been this institution of trust forever, and the corruption really hasn't been exposed to such a degree until recently. And my belief and my optimism lies in the idea that, and I'm sure every generation has this kind of belief, but I think that we made a real pivotal turn or shift in consciousness with this kind of exposure of corruption in the West at a real systemic level, that transcends all of our sacred institutions. And I'm hoping that this will push the the dialogue, and this will enact change. We'll see what happens. But I'm hoping that, as again, this really resonates with me because I'm all about providing truth and knowledge and shifting perspective and giving understanding. I'm hoping that these types of revelations do that on a mass scale.
Mm, I 100% agree with you. And what's your opinion on, we are seeing so many natural calamities, catastrophes happening at a global level. Um, I mean, if we talk about um, clean air, clean water, some of the countries um, they're not accessible to it, and we consciously know that yes, we are getting devoid of clean air. I mean, people, outside of the country, they're coming here and they're straightforwardly saying, I mean, how you guys are able to survive in this AQI? Then there are, you know, rampant floods, cyclones happening during the time when, 5, 6 years back, we weren't even expecting such kind of thing. And then you have companies which are kind of contributing into causing pollution, increasing carbon footprints, but then also spreading this propaganda of that, we are investing so much into research on climate control. We are investing in research into reducing carbon footprints.
Yeah,
What's your
yeah.
oh, um,
Well, look, the just to give you some kind of like some fundamental background on the way that at least Western hegemony has been pushed across the globe. They really all operate, and this is consistent. They really operate under what's called the Hegelian dialectic, which is kind of a principle proposed by a or kind of outlined by a philosopher, Hegel, and it's called, you create order through caused chaos, right? So you create the problem and then you create the solution. And you don't reveal that in some cases, the creation of the problem is covert, and in other ways it's overt. But um but if you if you create a problem and then people don't know that you created the problem and then you come through with the sweeping solution, you're looked at as a savior. And also, this way, it's very easy to monetize that, right? You manufacture conflict. And when you manufacture conflict, it it sparks industry, right? That's the engine that drives industry. You have to create a need. If you manufacture that need, then bam, all of a sudden these corporations now have um, products to make and they have solutions to fix these problems, right? So I think that's why I think that well, I know that that's what happens across the globe. And you're seeing, by the way, there are programs not just in the United States. I mean, there are programs globally where they have, weather changing systems. I mean, they're looking to, I don't know if they're looking to weaponize weather, but they certainly, they implant fake clouds to
yeah, yeah.
increase rainfall and what have you. So there are definite there are definitely programs out there that are looking to augment or alter weather patterns for sure. Now, does it is that what's causing typhoons and cyclones? That's hard for me to say. I don't know if I can to speak to that, but I will also tell you with respect to, clean water. The fact that people don't have access to clean water is absolutely unbearable. And you have guys like the CEO of Nestle come out and say, I mean, flagrantly, human beings don't have a right to water. I mean, how is how does a human being say that just so nonchalantly? There are basic human rights that people ought to have, and this is the problem with capitalism. Okay,
Mhm.
Capital, and this is also the fundamental problem with the way that people understand capitalism. Capitalism is not meant to operate unchecked. Capitalism needs to operate within a certain construct. It also needs to be operating under a properly a sort of a proper government, right? So if you have capitalism operating under an oligarchy, it looks very different than capitalism operating under a constitutional republic. Now, people think that the United States is a democracy. It never was, and it never will be. It's a constitutional republic, and
Mhm.
it's become sort of a a catchphrase, sort of shorthand way of describing that people have a say. But we were never the founding fathers here were never structured a democracy, and that was for very good reason. You can read James Madison, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, it's outlined very explicitly. But again, these economic systems operate very differently if they go unchecked and if they operate under different government constructs. And capitalism, like any other system, needs to have a government oversight so that people are not deprived of, you know, basic necessities, or their food isn't poisoned with pesticides and all these different things that we're seeing. It's it's real human rights violations at its core.
What so but Aaron, what if the government itself is funded, supported, celebrated by, capitalists? By
Well,
I mean, there's a
that's the problem, right? I mean, the problem is that the government has become an arm of these industrialized of the industrialists and of the corporations. You see this with, you had these non-governmental companies, organizations that were set up that were siphoning billions of dollars, through special interests, and there were kickbacks given to senators and I mean, just massive, almost, money laundering, kind of siphoning off the tax basis of the American people. I mean, to have a system like that that's so corrupt, you cannot clean the the economic construct when a government is that corrupt. And again, not to be political, I'm not saying, if I support Democrats or Republicans. I'm a free independent thinker, but
Mhm.
what the Trump administration has revealed is absolutely mind blowing. What this Doge has revealed, and what's also remarkable is, people are so polarized with their political affiliation that they cannot see clearly. They cannot think critically because if the quote unquote enemy, right,
Mhm.
puts out information, it's automatically discounted. It's automatically not true. It's a conspiracy, and there's some other angle to look at it. And when you have this divide, when you have this schism in society, again, it adds to that fractured truth apparatus. People cannot discern right from wrong because pinned, they've been so pinned against one another. And um, look, this can run deeper when you kind of look at how, and this is a problem that I think we have on a fundamental level, at least in the West, and I know around the world also, people take these systems and they misplace their identity with them. Like my religion, my political party, my
Yeah.
country. And this is how
Mhm.
they identify themselves. This is not who they are, right?
Yep.
They're not these things. And when you do that, you corrupt your entire consciousness. You miss the whole point. You misplace identity, and it corrupts your way of thinking.
So agree with you. And this can be really triggering, but this is the way I think as well. I mean, if you look at all of this from a perspective at the cosmic level or the universe level, you are no one. You're not identified by your country, by your religion, or by the political party you are you support, or anything. I mean, it's like you are just that planet in this entire universe, and then you go deeper and deeper, then you are a human, and then there's that entire internal uh, universe within you as well. So
Exact. Yeah,
it's
exactly. And I,
not about fixing the outside and more about realigning the inside. And I think that's where we we have kind of lost, or maybe we are embarked upon that path where we are losing ourselves.
for sure. And I think, even at a kind of um, next plane level, people taking it kind of a step deeper with identifying, with the external, even deeper, people misidentify themselves with their thoughts and their emotions, right? So even a notch deeper, they're not even their thoughts and their emotions, right? You're experiencing those things, but if people are able to make that distinction, I mean, what an empowering what an empowering way to view yourself. If you can
Mm.
say that I am not my thoughts and my emotions, you then take control of your consciousness. You then say, okay, I'm not this feeling. I'm going to change this feeling, whether, you know, whether through something else or through, forcing it consciously. But to take that control back is so empowering. And I mean, people don't get there. People aren't even there. But that really is the basis, in my opinion, of sort of these affirmation type practices, manifestation type practices, these psychological ways of understanding yourself and garnering power. This is really what's going on at the root. And it's coming to these realizations and these new perspectives that push people to really who they are and what they are. And it disconnects them from the external, which everybody is so hooked into, not just with identity, but with addiction and their repetitive desires and everything. There's people are just disconnected from their true selves, right? They're completely kind of living in this left brain reality without any connection to the right brain side of them, or the masculine versus the feminine, or the material versus the mystical, however you want to express it. But it's really all about, in my opinion, it's really all about balance and finding balance between those two ways of viewing yourself and viewing the world. We are at such a left brain tilt, at such a masculine, material, ends justify the means tilt right now in our present reality, that we've effectively cut ourselves off from an entire part of ourselves.
True. Unfortunately, it is true. Great, great, Haran. I mean, I guess this can go on and on for.
Oh yeah, I just
Uh,
I didn't see the time. I'm sorry.
no, 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 not at all, not at all, Aaron. I'm absolutely enjoying this. I mean, but before we wrap up, what, I mean, how do you see the future panning out? Are you bullish about it, or do you think we have some kind of solution out there, or maybe more and more people, when they talk about this collectively, that's where we talk about the collective conscious, it's going to change, or it's going to be a long time as we internally fight with ourselves, and then probably we can ignore everything and give less attention to everything, and then maybe it will be reciprocated in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that this power struggle has been at the kind of core of human existence forever, right? There's this structure in place, and I'm not trying to get, matrixy or, prisons of our mind. This is overtly out in the open. There are people who want to accumulate as much money as possible because they think that that's that's just kind of the game that's being played, and they want to impose their will and they want to serve their interests. And unfortunately, when you view your life in the world that way, you create this reality. And there's always been this push and pull. There's always been sort of people who see through the veils, and people who also, by the way, a lot of these people who are, quote unquote, bad people or who are pushing these agendas, they're doing it unconsciously. They don't realize that, that they're not doing this in a sinister way, right? But but to answer your question without going off topic, I think that we are at a very interesting, crucial time in our civilization, and I think that we are actually on a great trajectory. I think that we have exposed so much, and there are so many people out there who are waking up, and I'm hopeful because I can't be doing what I'm doing without being hopeful. I mean, you can't go for you can't go forward if you're pessimistic. What's the downside? But bottom line is the more people can get out there and offer methods of awakening and different ways to kind of flip the switch, the better. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to flip the switch in people's minds, not in kind of a mystical way, but in showing them that they don't necessarily know or they're not in touch with why they do the things that they do. They don't know how they've been corralled or how their systems have been assembled. And it's important to know these things. I mean, you would think it's such an essential piece of information that you'd want to know, but it's just that people are so distracted. So I am bullish and I am hopeful and I'm going to remain hopeful.
Same as me. Same as I. Great, great, Aaron. What? I mean, this was certainly the a very different kind of conversation I have had with you, Aaron. On so many of my shows I've been doing now for more than a year, and yeah, absolutely, I'm positive as well. It's not blind positivity or just kind of mystical optimism in there, but I'm really bullish as well. So before we wrap up, Aaron, if our listeners would like to connect with you or listen to your podcast, The Manhattan Prophet, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I'm streaming my podcast across all the platforms: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, you name it. I have a I have a small social media presence on TikTok and Instagram. Also, my email, if you want to reach out, is tmp at manhattanprofit.com. And I am hopefully coming out with a book shortly to provide additional access to my knowledge and insight, and hopefully open minds and perspective.
I'm so looking forward to it. So looking forward to it, Aaron. And thank you so much for it's kind of an unfiltered conversation we had today. And thank you so much. Uh, I mean, really, I'm happy that, you know, I'm not only or maybe the only person around, or maybe on this planet, thinking kind of in the same trajectory. So thank you so much for reminding us that it's not only spiritually or enlightened stuff that, we wake up. I think it's about facing the shadows of systems that profit from our sleep.
Absolutely. It was a true pleasure. Hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so looking forward to it, Aaron. And to all of the listeners out there, I'll add all the links to connect with Aaron and to listen to his podcast, check out his upcoming book as well. I'll put all the links in the show notes for you guys. And until next time on Cosmic Confluence, keep weaving your own truth. Thank you.